No, it just happens. I was so like,
Did you have your MacBook break or something?
yeah, it just was like, nope. It's like I know the next like as soon as it's done or outdated, like I'm just gonna buy like a very cheap PC that I can just
By an alien.
We'll call this Senate meeting to order. I'll turn it over to Secretary Severson for the roll call.
Senator Bral. Senator Berry. Senator Branham. Senator Collister.
Here.
Senator Sean Connor.
Here.
Senator DeCall.
Here.
Senator Dominguez. Senator Fornerado.
Here.
Senator Hornsby. Senator Hurtado. Senator Johnson.
Here.
Senator Muir.
Here.
Senator Ortiz. Senator Price.
Present.
Senator Rosales.
Present.
Senator Sidweeks.
Present.
Senator Withers.
Present.
Senator Worley.
Here.
All right, now if you'd all stand with me and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Senator Collister.
I move to approve last meeting's minutes.
Second.
It's been moved by Senator Collister to approve last week's minutes, seconded by Senator Connor. Unanimous has been called. Seeing no objections, last week's minutes are approved. Senator Sidweeks.
I'd like to recognize Senator Dominguez and Senator Hornsby. Oh, and Senator Hurtado.
So recognized. Senator Berry. It has been moved by Senator Berry to approve this week's agenda, seconded by Senator Withers. Unanimous has been called. Seeing no objections, this week's agenda is approved. We will now open up the gallery for anyone who would like to approach.
Mackenzie, it's directional. You have to tilt it down. It's directional.
Hello, this is Megan.
Hi, Megan. This is ASISU calling to have you talk to us during the gallery question and answer period.
Thank you. Is it my turn to speak or?
Yes, you are free to speak.
Can she actually state and spell your name for the minutes, please?
So
Will you
I'm
please
assuming
first
has
state and spell your
Mark
name?
already introduced on our behalf of what we're coming to talk about?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm here to speak on behalf of SB 1280 and talk about how the residency legislation has affected myself and my family and some of our fellow students. My husband and I chose to move to Idaho at the beginning of last school year because we wanted to live in the Northwest. He was able to relocate his job here, and the cost of school is comparable to other schools with the in-state tuition. He started working and paying taxes, and we really enjoyed Idaho. I think there's a strong potential that we would even stay here. We were told we'd be eligible to get in-state tuition after 1 year. If we had known that in-state tuition was not an option, we probably would not have. We probably would have chosen another school. Tuition was a big deciding factor for where we moved because we didn't have a lot of money to spare. This story holds true for many people in our class. Students who moved their entire families here. Their 3 kids now go to school in Idaho. Their spouses work here. None of us have a lot of money, and we're all taking on large debt. We chose to come here based on cost of programs that the school gave us. We were told by the residency department that the path to residency would be available. It isn't fair, it isn't ethical, and it isn't moral that halfway through our education, the Idaho legislator and State Board of Education is telling us we can no longer apply for residency our second year. We have all taken steps to residency. We've paid to get our licenses, we've paid registration, we've opened up bank accounts, we've paid taxes. We've been working to meet these guidelines to save our families over $20,000. And with the flex of the pen, it's all taken away from us. According to the State Bill of Education, the bill was vetted fully through all Idaho universities over the past 2 years. Yet faculty and directors of our physician assistant program and the pharmacology program did not hear about this bill prior to its passing. They heard about it from us, the students. Somewhere along the way, the message was not sent. And the programs and students who will be most affected by this bill didn't have a chance for their voice to be heard. We, as a result, will be paying more money than any higher institution student in the entire state. The Office of the Registrar knew this was happening, so I'm very confused as to how so many programs were missed in the notification. From what I have heard, the ISU General Fund earns a profit of about $3.5 million per year from PA student tuition and fees and the student head count. We are a large contributor to this university. We deserve to have our say, and we don't deserve to have more money being taken from our program. I read the letter released from the State Board of Education. It was really confusing and difficult to decipher in how it was written and exactly what it meant to say in all of its statements. But it appears that for students classified as non-residents during the past 12 months and who are working towards residency, there are options for their university, in our case ISU, to allow them residency under the prior guidelines. The initial implementation of this bill is scheduled for July 2016. This law has been passed without considering all of the repercussions. As a tuition-paying student, I want my voice to be heard, and the voices of my fellow students. I'm asking you, the ASISU student government, our representing body, to please take our message to the president of our university and represent us, and request that ISU allow us to pass the residency we were told would be available to us. We are happy to help out in any way we can and be there alongside. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak at your meeting and for all the hard work you do representing us as part of this institution.
Thank you, Megan. Are you willing to take any questions that our Senate might have?
Yeah, I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Megan?
Hey, Megan?
Yeah?
Yeah, it's Mark. We actually.
Hey, Mark.
I'm Mark Mango.
Can you state
Yeah, it's MARC, last name Manco, M-A-N-K-O. I'm the Vice President of the Physician Assistant Student Society, the effective president of my class here, which is the class of 2017. Megan, I apologize. We actually came straight to you without me giving an introduction to the bill to find out how much everybody here knew. I apologize for that.
Oh, that's okay.
And then
No problem.
The purpose of us coming here today, like, we realize you represent us. And the fact that, like, our administration and people were unaware of what was going on with this bill, which is Bill 1280, which effectively changes the in-state residency classification for students moving to Idaho for school, has large repercussions directly on us as a class. It has the ability of raising our tuition by over $20,000 next year alone. And this is for a program that's already costing us about $103,000 per student. We realize that we are not the only ones who are directly affected by this. This affects the pharmacy students, anybody who's coming here for undergrad. There's students here for undergrad who will be directly affected by this as well. And that's an astronomical amount of money to pay as a difference. We see it as not only affecting us directly, but affecting Idaho as a community, as a state, ISU as a school, because it's going to provide an enormous disincentive for people to move here from out of state, who, once they've had the opportunity to taste Idaho, would have the ability to relocate here, to spend their lives here, to bring professionals to the state, to bring some diversity in culture, ethnicity, background to the state of Idaho and to the culture of ISU. There's a lot of people who, had they known we weren't going to qualify for in-state tuition for our second year, might have chosen to go to a different university. One of the injustices that we see is the largest part here is that we're directly affected in something that we were told is a fact, and now it's kind of being taken away from us, and we didn't have the ability to make our scholastic choice with that in mind. That's a pretty large sum of money. We see this as affecting students in the very next year as well, because students who were going to come here may not, which I'm sure the school's enrollment status would still be sufficient or ample. We just see it as having negative impacts on being able to bring people to Idaho, and the fact that people might not be willing to move to Idaho and then not stay here as well. In addition to the fact that we're now being asked to pay something that we can't. So if we were simply an undergraduate, next semester I could transfer to a different school, and it wouldn't be much of a problem. But given that we're in track in a 2-year program that does not transfer to anything else, I'm now being told by depending on how the state board interprets the passing of this legislature, that our tuition is going to be what it's going to be, and I can drop out and have squandered a year of education, or I have no other choice but to take the extra $20,000 in loans.
Yeah,
So that's
thanks, Mark.
kind of where we sit. So we sit here for you to bring this to you in case anybody was unaware of what's happening, to present our view on it, so that we can well represent both ourselves, the community, and then wherever you as the Senate decide to go with this, we would like you to know that we stand behind you. We'd be willing to bring in support, petitions, letters, sit back and do nothing, whatever you guys would like to do as the representation of Idaho State University, and on behalf of us, that we're here to support you with whatever direction this needs to go.
Do you guys have any questions for us?
Senator Muir.
Thank you for coming and speaking to us. I was just wondering what exactly is changing with this bill that is making it so that you can't. I certainly haven't heard about it, so I don't know any of the details of the bill.
That's,
Mark, can you repeat the questions too, because I can't hear very well.
Megan, the question from Senator Muir was to give a little more clarity into exactly what this bill means for the change in residency, what the bill says.
Yeah, I can answer that. So basically, prior to the passing of this bill, when you came as an out-of-state resident applying for in-state tuition in Idaho, if you had a spouse that came with you and your spouse worked for 12 months paying taxes and you filed state income taxes, after 1 year, you'd be eligible for residency. In addition, if you moved here and you registered your car here, you got your license here, you set up a bank account, you did all the things that you do when you move to a new place and you want to become a resident, you were eligible for residency after 1 year. And basically what the governor did in their last legislation, or last meeting of legislation that ended this past Friday, is they passed a bill and the governor signed it, basically saying that all routes for full-time students to residency are being removed, even if you have a spouse who's been working here for 12 months, which makes it really difficult for people like me who might have moved here anyways, and my husband now has a job here, but I still wouldn't be able to get residency on his behalf. And I know a lot of families, people who have 3 kids here and they have working spouses here are facing the same concern, and their kids are in school and they still are not eligible for residency under this new law. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
We have, I mean, the actual legislation itself is public knowledge. It's on the government's website. I know, I apologize for not having a printed copy with me, but really it's kind of complicated. It's lengthy to read. It would make sense to read it depth right now. We'd be happy to tell you all where it is, to email it to you so everybody could have a copy of that and see exactly what it says and how it's spelled out.
Senator Connor.
So if you were to move here to Idaho Falls and you weren't going to school here at all, you would obtain residency basically 6 months to a year. Is that correct? But because you're a full-time student and you move here and you still fulfilled those requirements, they're not going to see you as a resident?
That's correct. So we would be a resident in the eyes of the state, but not as far as tuition is concerned. The legislature has changed to say that if you were here and you established residency, but you were here for school and you're not working full-time for a year, then they're recognizing you as coming to state for an education and will not recognize your in-state tuition status based on that.
That's across the board. Even if you've been here for a whole year as a student, you no longer get in-state tuition.
Correct.
If you come for the
loopholes-
purpose of schooling,
Yeah.
you don't get that.
One of the loopholes written on there was if you were here for 12 months of full-time employment before you started school, then you could qualify for in-state tuition. But they removed any ability to gain in-state tuition status if you were here for education or not, employed full-time.
Senator Hornsby.
Yeah.
So I know she said that the bill is confusingly written, and so I just wanted to clarify. So do you know if the bill like specifically states that students like yourself who are already here are not grandfathered in, or is it clear that people like these stipulations take effect now for people that are currently here?
It is pretty
What
clear.
did you say? What was the question, Mark?
He asked if the legislation, due to its lengthy and confusing nature, if it was understood if you would be grandfathered in, given that you are already in in-state, already working towards in-state requirements, or if that takes effect now and therefore students currently working to become in-state would still not be allowed to be in-state tuition students.
So
yeah, the way, or do you want to, I was just going to talk a little bit about the State Board of Education letter, Mark.
no, that's.
But if you want, you can go first. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, it's signed to go into action on July of 2016. And it's basically, they're saying right now, if you're applying for residency, if all of your paperwork, you registered to vote, you registered your car, your spouse isn't working here for 12 months, your lease was started all prior to July 1st in 2015, you can apply up until when the bill gets implemented in July 2016, which is really unfortunate for most students because you start in fall, so most people moved here in August and would not count for that. The State Board of Education did release a very vague letter. It was also confusing. We'll send you as well. And basically saying that if students are non-residents, full-time students, and they've been working towards getting residency, then institutions under certain circumstances have the option to quote-unquote grandfather them in. So that's the main reason why we're coming to our student government, because our university has the option, from what we can understand and how we interpret it as the Board of Education letter, our university has the option to allow the grandfathering in of students who did start last fall, who will have been here a year for their second year of schooling, and have been working towards the residency. But right now, there's nothing written in there to grandfather anybody in. It's more on an institutional basis. And right now, the Office of the Registrar is kind of said, you know, we're unsure of what's going to happen. So that's why we're trying to make our voice heard before we get denied that opportunity.
Thank you.
Vice President Belknap.
So with the passage of this bill, would this affect both undergraduate and graduate programs? And so, so after July 1st, 2016, no student coming to an Idaho institution would be allowed to apply for residency unless they had worked for an entire calendar year full-time before attending school here.
That is correct.
Correct. Unless you're from, yeah, I mean, if you're from Idaho and you moved away for a year or something, you know, if you have residency already, then, you know, that's okay. Or, I mean, if you're working full-time and going to school full-time, then you might be able to do it. But, you know, I don't think that's very possible for most people. But yeah, so it's taking the opportunity away from all students in all higher educational institutions. So some of you guys might even fall under the law.
So, I guess, so that we can properly represent what you want, do you more want us to try and represent that you want this tuition increase to have not happened at all, or just simply to not affect people who are currently attending?
So that is a great question. There's the personal emotional involvement that I have with my classmates and everybody else in a similar situation who wasn't able to make our school decisions based on this financial change. So that's kind of the immediate. But the long term, I actually have statements and testimonials from classmates who have in-state tuition, who are residents, who can see the long-term repercussions that this will have on Idaho and on Idaho State as a whole. So we were hoping for kind of a multi-directional approach, where on the one hand, we could approach the school and ask that the school interprets the legislature in a loose manner to give us some leeway in the short term, which would allow students in our position, in farm position, and maybe some of yourselves in undergrad, the ability to get through the next year without having to lose the ability of gaining in-state tuition. But then we were also hoping that we could eventually appeal to the legislature to see about a actual legislative change in the future. We were hoping to take this both directions, if possible.
Yeah, And just to add on to that, I think as Mark said, our number one priority is just the fact that it seems very unethical to do this to people who came into this university with a specific understanding and who were told that that was how things worked and they would have that opportunity. But on another hand, I do know that all of our faculty who was not involved in the original discussion is going to be very involved with speaking to both the Board of Education and the legislature directly and trying to get them to review this bill because it has such an impact on our program, specifically making it one of the most expensive physician assistant programs in the country. But in terms of our immediate goal, it's to push the institution to allow the quote unquote grandfathering.
Lastly, I thank you guys for taking the time to hear us. You know, hate to keep going, but if we do have questions, this is something that obviously we feel passionate about. We've been scrambling for in the last couple of days. We recognize that you guys are, you know, we're presenting this information to you and we've been figuring this out ourselves. But the basic understanding is that the legislature has passed the law. It has been vetted, it has been signed in by the governor. It takes effect July 1st and it is then come from the legislature to the school board to decide when and how to implement it. Our first goal is to see if we can try to make our voices heard at the school board and then with ISU so that we can have that extended so that it doesn't affect us directly because, as we said, didn't have a chance to make an educated decision on it. And then two, see where to go from there as far as the legislature in general. Maybe it's being pessimistic, maybe it's optimistic, but we see this as negatively affecting Idaho's educational system and Idaho's professional future. From disincentivizing people to attend the university or move to the state to attend other state universities.
And we're not totally clear in terms of the student government. I mean, I understand that if we have something to bring to the president, we want, you know, your support. And I'm not sure where the student government as a role comes in when it comes to the legislature and state board of education. That might be something different avenue.
Senator Fornerado.
I was just wondering, Mackenzie, like, when is the first time you've heard of this? Because I've never heard of this. I've never been approached about any of this until now.
Yeah.
Is this
So-
across the board for everyone?
We have a legislative member who reports to the president's cabinet every week, and they reported this week on several different pieces of legislation, but they did not report to me on this. I have not heard of it in president's cabinet, and I didn't know about it until I received the email from Megan. So it said that it was properly vetted through the universities at the administrative level, but I feel like I don't understand how it could have been properly vetted when our legislative member, who is our representative to the legislator, did not mention it during any of the meetings that I've had in the last month. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I meet with the president on a weekly basis, and I haven't heard of this in the weeks that I've been in meetings. And I'm there every week, so I know it hasn't gone through in conversation in that meeting.
We appreciate you being there for us every week. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of flew under the radar a little bit. I mean, it seems like a lot of people were not informed of it, and, you know, and I think that's part of the issue. I mean, they said they've been vetting it with institutions for the past 2 years, but somehow a large majority of people missed the memo.
Are there any further? Senator Collister.
So I've been doing a little bit of browsing on the internet over here while you've been talking, and in a quick search, it looks like the University of Idaho did know about this, or at least does know about it already from news on their website. And I've been looking at the bill, and I just want to make sure that I understand it the same way you understand it. But they've changed the law now that in order to become a resident of Idaho and pay in-state tuition, you would have to work in the state of Idaho for the intention of working for a year, and then after which you can receive in-state tuition. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, and we've talked to people in the pharmacy department because if they couldn't get residency, they have a 4-year program. It could cost them, I think, somewhere around, I don't know the exact cost, but $40,000 or $50,000 more than to what they originally thought, or even more. they were coming in here for their education. And so some of them were like, well, maybe we'll have to switch schools. Maybe we can defer and work for a year and then defer a year and work and get residency, because they're basically like, I can't continue my education if I'm going to have to pay this much money. It's not possible. So it's not just the PA program that's affected.
Senator Withers.
Thank you, Vice President Belknap. Mark and Megan, I just want to take a moment and I want to appreciate you coming to Senate tonight and bringing this bill to Senate's attention. I think most of us were kept in the dark to its passage and its implications. And so the university currently is kind of struggling with its enrollment numbers, like ensuring that they continue to rise. And I think that this bill, as you noted, both enhances and perpetuates that enduring struggle that all universities face. But I commend you both for your leadership on this and representing the people that would be affected by this. So thank you.
Thank you.
I guess since I'm sitting here, I can talk. Moving forward, if you guys wanted to do a resolution that I could take to the presidency, I meet with the president and the provost on a weekly basis. So I think a resolution that as a Senate we could do would help you guys a lot. And then also you guys would send me the testimonials from your student. Thank you. And any other ones that you guys have, make sure that they're sending them to the Senate so that we have the testimonials behind that resolution to do the your short-term goals of getting it to be yourselves to be grandfathered in, and then perhaps talking with the Senate a little bit on a one-on-one basis as to how you would like us to help you proceed on the more broad basis of trying to get this legislation changed. I think that would be the most beneficial to your guys' immediate cause, but also long-term goal.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That's exactly, what we were hoping for, and we really appreciate the support. And just as a side note, we brought some testimonials and things, but go ahead.
I just handed them over.
Oh yeah, but I was gonna say we'll vet them and resend them. We kind of got kind of got connected with the meeting later in the day, so we were kind of throwing together a lot of kind of speeches, and people were emailing testimonials, and we didn't have time to read through all of them and grammar, punctuate, vet them. So if we have a little time to do that and resend them, that would probably be a little better.
Definitely.
It would just be a little more professional.
Thank you. Is there final questions before we move on?
May I have a comment?
Just state your name.
Shane Smith, SHANE SMITH. Sorry, I know we've talked about this quite a bit, but I feel passionately about it, and I wanted my own voice to be heard. So I just prepared something. If you don't mind, I'll just read it. On March 22nd, 2016, the legislature passed Senate Bill 1280. I wanted to take this time to express my deep concern regarding this bill. The changes to residency requirements regarding in-state tuition at public universities may have been well-intended, but will have unintended negative consequences. As I understand it, the bill was only introduced on February 9th, 2016. I find it hard to believe that the bill was examined and vetted adequately within that short time frame. Where was the request for public input? Were the deans of the public colleges even asked for their input? Please consider some of the impact this bill will have. Many of the professional graduate student programs at the State University recruit students from all across the United States to come to Idaho, not only to further their education, but also to stay and practice here in Idaho. As you're aware, Idaho currently has a significant shortage of healthcare providers. The ISU Pharmacy School, the Physician Assistant Program, and the Physical Therapy Program are all examples of advanced health professional programs that recruit excellent advanced students to fill this provider gap. The hope is that these students will not simply finish their education here, but will also practice here in Idaho after graduation. These programs are not cheap. For example, the tuition for the ISU Master's in Physician Assistant Studies is over $100,000 for 2 years for an out-of-state student. However, many students in these programs were told if they met certain obligations, they could receive in-state tuition after the first year. Among these obligations is the intent to stay in Idaho to practice after graduating. The savings for subsequent in-state status for the second years and beyond amount to around $20,000 for PA students and over $50,000 for pharmacy students. Many students received official communication from ISU's registrar's office that included the requirements and opportunity for in-state tuition. Undoubtedly, these students weigh these facts heavily when choosing between different programs across the country. This decision is often a grueling process over several months, weighing the pros and cons of the different programs. I strongly feel that it's immoral to change the law in the middle of an education program, especially when students made life-changing decisions based upon the different premises that they were given. This would be equivalent to changing campaign finance laws in the middle of an election year. The most obvious and fair solution to this problem would be to alter the timeline to implementing the new law. Those currently in school should be allowed to obtain residency status based upon the law that was in place at the time that they committed to this state. Moving forward, new students whom have not yet received information regarding second-year residency, nor base their lives on the old law, should certainly be expected to abide by the new regulations. I will attach a copy of the residency determination worksheet from the Idaho State Board of Education that I was provided last year prior to making my decision to come to Idaho to begin school. This was official communication from ISU and a formal form from the state board. Please do what's right for the students and state and honor the word of the state regarding this matter. Thank you.
Any further questions from our Senate? Seeing none, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Megan. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
guys. Bye.
All right, we will now move on to anyone else who would like to approach from the gallery.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Miriam Dance. That's spelled Miriamdance. And this is Shelby Harris.
It's spelled Shelbieharris.
We are students in the Communication, Media, and Persuasion Department, and we're currently taking a PR public campaigns class. And in this class, we gain real-world experience where we have a client where we create and implement a PR program, and our client happens to be the Idaho Department of Labor. This project encourages college students to participate in volunteer work in order to increase their chances of gaining employment once they've graduated. And this is because people who volunteer are 27% more likely to gain employment in 1 year as opposed to people who don't. One of the specific project goals that we have in our campaign is to increase volunteer hours at Idaho State University, specifically student volunteer hours. And we plan to accomplish this by partnering with the Student Activities Board for Service Saturday on April 16th. And one of the goals that we have is to create a competition for student organizations where the student organization who brings the most students to Service Saturday will receive a cash prize to be donated to their club. The ISU Lead Center has committed to donating $100 for this prize, and our request today is to ask ASISU to also commit $100 for this prize. So that is our request, and are there any questions?
Are there any questions from the Senate? Senator Price.
I'd just like to thank you for coming up here and asking for the request and giving us this awesome project that you guys are putting on here to bring it to us and that we can inform our clubs to also participate in this event. So just thank you for coming today.
We can also, Senator Connor.
Oh, I'm just touching the mic, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of a question, but I really don't have one because they explained it so well, so.
Senator Barry. So we would entertain a motion to move to approve the amount from the Senate discretionary fund.
I would like to entertain a motion to approve the $100 from the Senate discretionary fund.
So that's actually out of order. I'm entertaining the motion. You would move. Senator,
Okay, so now I move to approve the $100 from the Senate discretionary fund. To support the
Seconded.
Roll call.
it has been properly moved.
Objection. Discussion.
All right, so we will now. I'm going to finish reading the motion and then you can say your objection.
Okay.
So it has been moved by Senator Barry to approve from the Senate's discretionary $100, seconded by Senator Sudweeks.
Objection. Discussion.
All right, we will now move into a discussion regarding the funding from the discretionary.
So I should have asked it when it was a question time. Sorry.
Senator Collister.
So I should have asked it when it was a question time, but was it $100 that you wanted us to donate to this service cause?
Yes.
Okay.
$100.
All right. Yep. So the question I have is more related to the definition of service, I guess. And so I've always thought that service was something that you did without any thought of reward. And so I would vote no because I would want it to remain that way, that there's no reward for doing service. Even though I love the cause that you're trying to get people involved and you're trying to get them out there and doing things so that they can have better chances in the future by bettering themselves. But I want it to not have that incentive of a cash reward. Yeah,
May I
that's like I say.
Yes, you can respond.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you as far as that definition of service. Service is something that we do for the sake of giving and not having a reward. However, in trying to encourage people who maybe not inclined to or maybe not have participated in service projects before, sometimes it takes an incentive to get them there the first time. And then once they're there, they are more likely to continue and further that cause of providing service to a variety of organizations or causes. And so there can be a benefit to an incentive if that means that in the future it will continue on the goal of the project.
Senator Withers.
Thank you, Vice President Belknap. I would like to say that I actually really appreciate, as Senator Price said, that you guys coming and asking for this, because I know several clubs you actually use the money and they reallocate it back towards another service project. So it's kind of that pass along chain of events. And so I think that this is a very innovative idea and I full-heartedly support it. And I, again, appreciate your willingness to come and present to us. So thank you.
Senator Price.
I am the head chair of service committee for ASISU. And I would just like to speak on, I guess, the behalf of service is that majority of senators are getting paid to do service. So if they don't do the service, they actually have to repay back to ASISU. Another incentive by realizing that being service chair is that there is a lot of incentive of, yes, there's free stuff to get when you do service. So there has to be that incentive there for people to go and actually participate, at least in the first time, to enjoy giving back to the community. It's a devil's advocate there, but it is what it is. And I really definitely support providing that money for service so people can actually go out there and may have a bad incentive to in the first place, but then to realize I really do feel good about participating in service cause. And I mean, not a lot of people have that passion about service. So you have to really think about, like, as being service chair, to have that passion and to provide that service and to keep going back. For senators to only go one time and say, oh, I've already completed my service, it's done, versus service committee goes because they really enjoy giving back. So I really want you guys to reflect when voting that if you complete your service project, do you really are doing it because you want to give back to the community, or is it just to complete that checklist when you're voting upon this $100? Thank you.
Senator Rosales.
Thanks for coming tonight. I also think by doing service and helping out our community, the community gives us back. So we're not just helping the community in general. The community has helped us, especially living here in school. I'm not a Pocatello native, and I know the community has helped me in my education. I'm an education major. The community, the schools, I go into the schools. So I feel like I support donating the $100. I'm part of service committee as well. So just think about that. You're giving to the community, but the community is also giving back to us as students.
Idaho Falls Vice President Osti.
So to agree with Senator Withers and Senator Price, I would like to say thank you on behalf of coming and presenting this idea. To the Senate, I think it's very important to consider not just who we're trying to incentivize to come to these, but rewarding people who are coming regardless. I mean, we are going to have volunteers who are going to come and volunteer whether there is a reward or not. And I think it's important to put into some consideration, even if we are donating the $100, there might be some volunteers who were going to come regardless of if we were going to reward them anyways. And I think it's worth considering that we reward people who may have come regardless of if there was a reward or not.
Can I add something? So when we were speaking with our liaison at Iowa Department of Labor, his name's Nick, we originally had ran the idea across to incentivize individuals or provide like an individual prize. And to work around the idea that Senator Callister brought up, which is, a hard thing in terms of volunteering and the offering incentives to volunteer hours, we framed it in terms of providing it to a team or a group of people, so that instead of making it an individual reward, or that somebody could take it and apply it to just themselves individually, that it would actually, as some of you have mentioned, kind of trickle down and reciprocate through some of these other levels as well, and be on more of a more broad or general level than each individual person. So, and that's kind of the reason why we even went to the Lead Center and to you guys here today, is to be able to show other students how important volunteering is, and by providing that monetary reward to a group of people, it's a lot less of a ticky-tack or devil's advocate sort of a situation than giving it to one individual person.
So previous has been called by Senator Branham. So unless there are any objections on the floor.
Objection. Discussion.
Okay, we'll still be in discussion. Senator Callister.
So is this a one-time donation of $100, or is this expected to continue?
Since this is the only time that we will be partnering on this Service Saturday project,
Mhm.
it is a one-time donation.
Okay.
Senator Worley.
Previous.
Previous has been called. Are there any objections on the floor? Seeing none, I will turn it over to Secretary Severson for the roll call.
Senator Bral.
Yes.
Senator Berry.
Yes.
Senator Branham. Senator Callister.
No.
Senator Connor.
Abstain.
Senator DeCall.
Yes.
Senator Dominguez.
Yes.
Senator Fornerado.
Yes.
Senator Hornsby.
Yes.
Senator Hurtado.
Yes.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Muir.
Yes.
Senator Ortiz.
Yes.
Senator Price.
Yes.
Senator Rosales.
Yes.
Senator Sidweeks.
Abstain.
Senator Withers.
Yes.
Senator Worley.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Seeing no changes, the motion passes, and we will allocate $100 from the Senate's discretionary fund.
Thank you.
Thank you both. All right, is there anyone else in the gallery who would like to approach? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have nothing in announcements and correspondence, so we'll now move on to our president's report from Mackenzie Smith.
Hey guys, so just to kind of give you an update on what we've heard today. So Lowell and myself are going to try and set up a meeting with Kent Kuntz, our legislative liaison, as well as any other members that we can meet with on the issue of Bill 1280. So I will be trying to meet with that this week to just understand where exactly they are looking to move, whether they are planning on grandfathering in students who have already been within the process or not. So until that has been figured out, we do not need to move forward on a resolution until we know if they are going to grandfather the students in or not. So as soon as Lowell and myself have been made aware of their decision on that, I will let you guys know so that if a resolution is something that we are interested in doing, to help better understand that, it just makes more sense to wait until we know what their decision is so that we aren't writing a resolution when they're already having the same idea. We have very little knowledge of this, so I think it's best right now to get as much knowledge as possible. You will probably be getting emails from your representatives. Please forward or CC me in on all of those so that I have that for these different meetings that we'll be going into. Other than that, in administrative, like they were talking about, the legislator finished up their legislative process on Friday. A few things to note with that is that the State Board of Education meeting is in April. I will be trying to go to that meeting. That is where they will be setting tuition and fee increases, as well as talking about different issues at institutions. This is if this becomes an issue where they don't plan on grandfathering in students, or if this is an issue that we want to let them know that the student government is not interested in, the State Board of Education meeting that I will be trying to go to would be an opportunity for us to at least talk to a couple people. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. You guys will hear from the Finance Committee today. We did finish up our budget. We are hoping to give you guys the budget this week, have you have a week to comment on it, make any issues that you might have, so that Finance then can meet next Wednesday, make any changes that we see fit, so that next Wednesday we approve the budget to be sent to the State Board of Education meeting. So that is the timeline. It has to be that way. So by next Wednesday, we have to have, by the end of the meeting, a approved budget. We cannot leave until that time. So the more proactive you guys are with any of the issues you might have with the budget, the less time you will have to be here next Wednesday, because we will stay here until the budget is approved, period. That's what we have to do. So any issues that you find, please email us as soon as possible. Questions, concerns, that needs to be done within the week that we are giving you guys. So that's really all that we have going on currently for ASISU. Be looking for your invitations to the end of the year banquet. And also I emailed a couple of you specifically to be looking for invitations for the meeting that we will be having for all students for the different students to talk about a focus group of what the students perceive at ISU. Once again, this focus group is with the student body with the president of the university and a couple other key members. So this bill that we just learned about, if you guys want to do your research, could be talked about at that meeting. So anybody that got that invitation, that's something you need to be looking into so that you can talk about it at that meeting. So that's just all I really had for you guys this week. Is there anything else?
Senator Collister.
In last meeting, you said you were working on some bills. How are those coming?
The resolutions, I'm currently still working on them. I want to make sure that we're not adding it in too much, but it still looks like I will be working on getting all senators to wear orange and black on Wednesdays, and then just getting in line that every senator has to help with the ambush. So I'm still working on those. If you guys want any input, I will email them out to you to be co-sponsors of, because we need sponsorship on that as soon as they are finished. This week's just been crazy with a couple other things, including finance. So I didn't get them done this week. I'm hoping to have them done next week.
Senator Withers.
Thank you, Vice President Belknap, and thank you, President Smith. I just had a clarification question on the orange and blacks bill that you're considering. On our last checklist, I noticed that it does ask if you've worn orange and black each week. So could you specify the intentions behind your bill?
So it's not technically on, it's part of your bylaws that you should wear orange and black on Wednesdays and your name tag. It's not technically, if you look through the senator checklist requirements for your stipend checklist, it's not technically on there. So I'm just trying to make your checklist and your bylaws in line, get to have them in line so that even though it's in the bylaws, it's not necessarily being utilized as something that you guys do because of a checklist item. So we were just trying to make that in line with one another so that we are making sure that our bylaws are upheld by our actions in the stipend.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Senator Branham.
So it is in the Senate stipend rulebook duties. Is there a reason why it's in there, but then not on the checklist?
I'm not exactly sure. That's why I just wanted to have a resolution that made sure that it was on the stipend checklist, because it is in several different areas, but then it doesn't end up being on the checklist. So I wanted to make sure that we were across the board staying in line with everything that is in our checklist, our bylaws, and anything else. So it's just mainly, it's not really a change to anything we should have been doing. It's just making sure that it's on there so people are aware that that is something they should have been doing.
Because you're just saying, you're not saying
Just a point of clarification. So in the service stipend rulebook, it does say on item 8 that senators must wear orange and black or Bengal gear every Wednesday. So just clarification for the Senate. Are there any further questions? Seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move on to our chair and committee reports, starting with the Senate Pro Tempores Committee. Senator Withers.
Thank you again, Vice President Belknap. We don't have anything to report as a committee at this point since caucus was canceled, which was when we were going to meet. However, we will meet next week. I do want to take note at this time, though, that you all did an amazing job with the Benny's Pantry donation through the month of March. Seeing the cars, the carts, the boxes of food that you brought really speaks highly of your commitment to this, and I truly appreciate that. And so do the other students at ISU who need those resources. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Withers. We'll now hear from our Finance Committee. Senator Withers.
Thank you again, Vice President Belknap. So Finance has quite a few things to report this week. I will start with our match deposit requests. We received several, starting with Native Americans United for $500, the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers for $66.66, the Biology Graduate Student Association for $294.33, the Alpha Kappa Psi Omega for $46.55, the Political Science Club for $250 even, Psi Chi for $26.26, the Students of Occupational Therapy Association for the maximum of $500, and then the American Sign Language Club for $145. All of those combined makes for a total of $1,828.80. Does anyone have any questions on those? No? Seeing none, I move to approve the match deposit requests totaling $1,828.80.
Second.
It has been moved by Senator Withers to approve the match deposits, seconded by Senator Collister. Roll call has been called, so I'll turn it over to Secretary Severson for the roll call.
Senator Barral? Senator Barry,
Yes.
Senator Branham, Senator Colister,
Yes.
Senator Connor,
Yes.
Senator DeCall, Senator Dominguez, Senator Fornerado,
Yes.
Senator Hornsby,
Yes.
Senator Hurtado, Senator Johnson,
Yes.
Senator Muir,
Yes.
Senator Ortiz,
Yes.
Senator Price,
Yes.
Senator Rosales,
Yes.
Senator Sidweeks,
Yes.
Senator Withers,
Yes.
Senator Worley.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Seeing none, the match deposits of $1,828.80 are approved.
In addition to that, an update from our previous Senate meeting with one of our contingency fund requests from the American Society of Civil Engineers. The Finance Committee chose not to approve this fund request, primarily on the reason that it was a reimbursement for fees that had already been processed and completed. Any questions on that? Okay. So the last major point of business that I want to address today is the updates to the budget finance as considered. So in the upcoming hours by the end of this evening, we will share a Google Doc with you that has some new considerations placed into it. There had to be some improvement or some increases in some fees associated with the benefits to employees of the university. So we just added those in. But once Vice President Belknap clarifies a few things on the document, we will share that with you so you can view it. But kind of going through it step by step, we chose to do the following cuts. So for the Bengal newspaper, we are considering a 17.35% cut. And I'll explain what each of these cuts are in the reasoning in a second. The Bengal Theater for a 2% cut. The International Affairs Council for 2%, the KISU for 3.6%, and then student government with 2%. So addressing the Bengal newspaper first, since that's a substantial, significant cut. It sounds like a big number, however, it's not. The Finance Committee is having the Bengal newspaper change its form of media. So rather than be just primarily a paper form, we're advocating for them to do an electronic media source. And so that cut is just a reallocation of funds through varying different processes. And so it seems like a lot, however, it's not. They still have the same amount of funds available to them primarily. So in addition, we just, through hearing what each of the presenters said when they were presenting their budgets for the upcoming year and through the previous year, the Finance Committee just used their best judgment as to which considerations should have been taken into account with these cuts. And so does anyone have any questions on the other cuts considered?
Senator Colister.
Why is the KISU cut a little bit more than the other or the majority of the cuts?
Thank you for addressing that. So technically, KISU, we aren't cutting them from the money that ASISU's received. We are just not matching them the increases in their benefits that they need to pay their employees. So they still receive the same amount as we paid them this year. However, they need to reallocate their funds to somehow address those benefits themselves.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Part two is through these cuts, there is a small overflow. There's a small amount that we can allocate towards other line items. And so what the Finance Committee is proposing is, and I guess I should say there's $7,206 that we can allocate to new line items. The allocation is considered to SAB Pocatello for a total of $3,706. SAB Idaho Falls for a total of $1,168. Civic Symphony for a total of $162. And then Theater ISU for $2,170. Again, for the total of $7,206. And these funds were based on the commitment, the improvements, and what's being done through each of these line items. So these line items showed significant strides in what they had been able to accomplish this year, and the Finance Committee wanted to award them justly. So, any questions on that? No? Like I said, this will be available to you to look over the next week or so. You are welcome to come with questions next week, and I would be happy to address them upon approval of the budget. Okay, and with that, that's all finance has to report this time.
Thank you, Senator Withers. We'll now hear from our Rules Committee, Senator Branham.
Thank you. Bill 508 will be released from the Rules Committee. Other than that, I have nothing new to report.
Thank you, Senator Branham. We'll now hear from our Appointments and Review Committee, Senator Takal.
We just have to report that we are appreciating the Student Success Center tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Takal. Next, we'll hear from our Outreach Committee, Senator Amir.
Thank you. So this Saturday is our outreach event at the Idaho Falls campus, the Spring Carnival. So I wanted to get a final hand count of who all is going to that. So put out your hand. This Saturday. It's the 2nd. Okay, 10. Yeah. Okay, so now I want you to put your hand back out if you want to ride in the SUVs from the university.
Question.
Senator Worley.
When is the event ending and we'll be coming back?
I believe it ends at 2:30.
One? Okay, it will be it will be ending at 1. Okay.
It ends at 1.
I just have to work, so I have to know.
Okay, does no one want to ride in the cars?
I don't. Yeah. What time are the cars leaving?
They would be leaving at 9:30.
Okay. Thank you.
No one?
Okay. So I don't really have a way to get there, but I don't really want to ride in the cars alone. So I'm actually going to ask if I can like hitchhike with somebody else who's driving. Cool. Or all right, I have options. I will consider those. Thank you.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Amir. Next, we'll hear from our Communications Committee, Senator Johnson.
Thank you. So today we selected our Club of the Month, Alpha Kappa Psi. I had nothing to do with that, just so you guys know. But we felt that their awesome iBoy event for the month of March was pretty much why they were awarded that. We also selected a senator. Why is everybody laughing? A Senator of the Month award, Mr. Senator Hornsby. So congratulations, Senator Hornsby. And we did this on different things. So your award is a ride, actually.
Yes.
Just kidding. We'll get that back as soon as it gets back to us. So I will be in contact with you and get you your plaque for the month. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Last, we'll hear from our Service Committee, Senator Price.
So for the April service events, we are thinking about doing early registration, which I had talked to Joanne from Central Academic Advising, and she had sent contact information to contact another person. So I will be sending out a link if that's available to us. And then another volunteer opportunity is Bengal Visit Day, and it's from the recruitment department. And I'll be talking to Nicole Rosenberg, who's the head director of that, to see if we can volunteer and help direct students. And all of this is by directing students to the proper place. For early registration, it's for incoming freshmen. And then for Bengal Visit Day, it's juniors, prospective students that are juniors in high school. So just look to those opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Price. Now we'll move on to our old business. So we'll move on to Bill 508, which we will have a reading by Senator Branham.
Thank you. In the Senate, Bill 508 by Stacey Branham, College of Pharmacy, sponsored by Jordan Withers, Division of Health Sciences, Maria Ortiz, Division of Health Sciences, Mary Cruz Hurtado, Division of Health Sciences. This bill changes the scholarship reduction amount for the ASISU Chief of Staff. ASISU bylaws, Article 6, ASISU Service Scholarship, Section 1, Distribution of Scholarships, Clause 2, Reduction in Scholarship. E, the Chief of Staff shall submit a scholarship checklist to the ASISU Vice President. The scholarship will be reduced, cross out 10, add $20 for each item not completed on the checklist. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I would like to approve Bill 508.
Second.
It has been moved by Senator Branham, seconded by Senator Sidweeks to approve Bill 508.
Roll call.
Roll call has been called. I'll turn it over to Secretary Severson.
Senator Bral? Yes. Senator Berry?
Yes.
Senator Branham?
Yes.
Senator Collister?
Pass.
Senator Connor?
Yes.
Senator DeCall?
Yes.
Senator Dominguez?
Yes.
Senator Fortunato?
Yes.
Senator Hornsby?
Yes.
Senator Hurtado?
Yes.
Senator Johnson?
Yes.
Senator Muir?
Yes.
Senator Ortiz?
Yes.
Senator Price?
Yes.
Senator Rosales?
Yes.
Senator Sidweeks?
Yes.
Senator Withers?
Yes.
Senator Worley?
Yes.
Senator Collister?
Yes.
And with that, Bill 508 passes. All right, we'll now move on to our new business. We do have to award the ASISU Senator of the Year. So I'll do a brief description of how this process works. You may raise your hand and I will call on you. You may nominate another senator, then that senator can either accept or decline. Oh, and requires a second, and then that senator may accept or decline the nomination. And then at the very end, I will ask for you to fill out your little orange slip of paper for who of the nominees you decide is your vote for ASISU Senator of the Year. And don't worry, we'll have a final reading of all the final nominees. So I'll now open the floor for nominations for Senator of the Year. Senator Hurtado.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Senator Price. All right, Senator Price. Senator Hornsby.
I nominate Senator Muir.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Senator Sidweeks. Senator Fortunato.
I'd like to nominate Senator Withers.
It's been seconded by Senator Branham. Senator Withers.
I'll accept the yes.
Senator Dominguez.
I would like to nominate Senator Johnson.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded by Senator Hurtado. Senator Johnson.
Accept.
Are there any other nominations on the floor? All right. Seeing none, these are our four nominees. So you have Senator Price, Senator Muir, Senator Withers, and Senator Johnson. So if you'd all please write one name, one last name on your piece of paper, and we'll pass your votes in, and we will count it up here. One. If you write two, we're redoing the vote.
She's gonna kill you.
Just throw it out.
There's so many good candidates. I'm gonna pick one.
I know.
Yes.
Well, you better. So.
I'm gonna put their first name.
Yeses. Sure. You just say yes.
Someone puts yes, they're going to win the award for worst senator of the year.
At least we'd be remembered for something.
I'd like to nominate Senator Hornsby.
I didn't vote for myself. So.
Not just no.
That doesn't help. So, just because we. I don't know. Yeah. No. There's like literally no. I'm not the only one.
They're all.
It's a shot.
Oh my heavens, you dropped one. That's what you did. No.
Senator Withers, mom.
I'm sorry. It was the hardest decision.
To reserve it. Where is my?
Greeks are really involved in the month.
The winner of Senator of the Year will be announced at the end of the year banquet.
Cliffhanger of the year goes to.
All right, we'll now once again open our gallery if anyone would like to approach. Seeing no one, if you would all join me in singing the ISU fight song.
ISU fight, ISU fight, go, go, go Eagles, go.
Senator Collister.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
Is moved by Senator Collister to adjourn, seconded by Senator Sidweeks. Turn it, and we will summon.
Unanimous?
Unanimous has been called. We will adjourn after the roll call.
Senator Burrell. Senator Barry.
Present.
Senator Branham. Senator Collister.
Here.
Senator Connor.
Here.
Senator DeCall. Senator Dominguez.
Present.
Senator Fornerado.
Here.
Senator Hornsby.
Present.
Senator Hurtado. Senator Johnson.
Present.
Senator Muir. Senator Ortiz. Senator Price. Senator Rosales. Senator Sidweeks. Senator Withers. Senator Worley.
Here.
Meeting adjourned.
Service, if you could meet with me so we can